So, speaking of Texas, should we
Is that me?
No, this is me still.
Oh, okay.
Self.
Mine has a little bit to do with Texas. So.
This one?
Okay. Yeah,
There's just so much happening in Texas, guys.
It's where it's
Texas is the place to be lately. Wow. So, SpaceX has still been working on testing their welding, their bulkheads, their nose cones, and things like that. So one of the exciting things we saw this week, they tested their. So this is the old one. The first test made it to 7.5. Ben, go ahead and click on the other status. So about 2 weeks ago, he said like, hey, we hit 7.5 bar. That's good, but it's still not like what we need. We need around 8.5 bar. And I remember thinking when he tweeted, I'm like, oh man, how long is it going to, that's months. Like they just made a development test. How many months will it be before we see another test?
Apparently this
2
was in the
weeks
year
later,
2000.
That's what I was just looking at.
Yeah.
This is old news, guys.
People were asking about that. We're looking into the past here. But only 2 weeks later, and ta-da, all of a sudden they roll out an updated version with different welding techniques and different materials, and they did cryo test this. So this is where they actually, use liquid nitrogen to have it at cryogenic temperatures, which makes the parent materials, makes the actual stainless steel stronger. But the welds don't. That. Yeah, the welds aren't necessarily going to get stronger, but they were successful. They hit 8.5 bar. So
we're looking at an image here. It looks like kind of like a big snowball. Is that actual condensation like ice that's built up, or is that some kind of a wrap they put around it?
Ben, have you ever watched my launches? Any of my launches?
This isn't a part of a launch. Come on, this is in the weeds.
What do I always say about how cold rockets are?
Pointy
and Rocket Lab
up,
being black,
flaming
and
and
it's
down.
white on the pad. So this is.
So
just
could you
ice.
stick your tongue to that?
You sure could, and it would stay there.
Your entire face just turns solid.
Nuh-uh.
Seriously. Oh, it would be bad. I mean, that's a giant cryogenic ice ball is exactly what that is. So, yeah,
cool.
So they filled that baby up, 8.5 bar. And earlier this week, too, they also tested their header tank. So that's what will backfill pressure and or be non-sloshable. I'm still a little confused about what the header tanks are now. And so there's – oh, God. Okay, so normally you have the header tanks. Purpose would be to either have a separate storage that's non-sloshable. So like when you're doing a landing burn and stuff like that, it's all just ready to go. Or you could store your helium and your nitrogen in there. But I think this is just a header tank that they're integrating into the nose cone of it. And they tested that this week, and I think that went really well too. And Elon said something like, we're going to fly Starship in a couple weeks or something, or in a few weeks. And I'm starting to get that nervous feeling of, oh my God, I might be living in Texas again here soon, waiting for that 20-kilometer hop. Oh. So there you go. That's Starship news. I mean, testing is coming along great. I think the engines are making great progress, and knock on wood, we'll see it rolling out here in a few weeks, a month, maybe 6
So that'd
weeks.
be Mark. Is it Mark 2 or Mark 3?
Actually, it's SN now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Serial number?
Yes. Yep. So Mark 1 and 2 were like those really rough prototypes. Serial number 1 is the first one that they're considering like flight worthy. So they're just calling it serial number 1 now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just don't let Franz near it with a sledgehammer, please. It's like we've seen what happens, the one that blew up and then the Cybertruck. I mean, that guy is dangerous.
He's too strong for his own good.
Well, the sledgehammer didn't do anything to the Cybertruck. It was a little metal ball.
But the sledgehammer reportedly cracked the transparent metal.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay.
And that's why when they hit it with the ball, it broke. I don't know. The people I know or that I met there were like, we've been trying to beat this thing down all day.
Yeah.
And I just think when you hit it 65 times with that metal ball, on the 66th time that was the one,
And then twice in a row.
Yeah, and then as the saying goes, it's not a demo. It's not a real demo until something goes wrong, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Before we move on to other things, Texas space, there was one thing I forgot to talk about. Elon keeps talking about chairs Chairs are underappreciated. He's using a chair emoji. Do you think that means there's an update to chairs in the S and X and maybe an interior refresh?
It's kind of a leap.
Why?
Is this there's rumors here?
We've seen. Well, yeah, there's the rumors of. I mean, I'm just speculating. He's mentioned chairs like 3 or 4 times. That's kind of weird. And we've seen that the internal code. We were talking about this last week. Has some hints of updated things.
Yeah. Did we talk about that? Who's the guy? Twitter. What's his name? Green is his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw some stuff in the firmware that hinted at a whole bunch of changes coming S and X wise. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably Plaid powertrain time, is the timeline we're looking at. I think it's not, I don't think it's happening before that. That would be odd, because if they're talking about getting that out, it would just, why not do them at the same time? But I'm not even sure, whatever that, when the Plaid powertrain comes out, my guess is that we do see some sort of interior and exterior refresh. I don't know why the chair reference. That seems odd to me. I don't know. That'd be an odd thing to be teasing. It doesn't seem as exciting as, say, the Plaid powertrain. That seems like a much more.
But still, I don't know. He likes to do that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if in a week or two, all of a sudden, if all of a sudden, ta-da, there's a small interior refresh. Maybe it's step by step. Maybe it's chairs first, then, screen, then steering wheel. Maybe
Tesla's going to start making chairs. Like the Segway pod, yes. the Wally chair.
It's a plaid Segway.
Yep.
Speaking of segues.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
No, I'm curious. He does like to drop hints on things every once in a while, and then next thing you know, it becomes a part of something. Because he kind of did that with the steel thing, just out of nowhere. He's like, "Steel is awesome," and everybody's like, "What?" And then, "Hello, Cybertruck. Hello, Starship."
Right.
It's just a question of how far out is that thing.
Right. Well, that thing has been out for 2 years internally, and now he's getting about a month away from sharing it publicly. That seems to be what
thing?
What I tend to think.
Anything.
Whatever you get a hint of, it's already been in the background for a year or two.
Yeah.
And then he's about a month away from actually talking about it publicly.
Fair enough. Like Boring Company was that way. I remember people were people literally thought he just tweeted, traffic in LA sucks, thinking about digging tunnels, and then a week later, here's my boring machine that I'm going to dig tunnels with. You can't just, I mean, maybe he can, Elon can move mountains, I'm sure, but I'm pretty sure it takes longer to get all that organized and shipped over to LA from wherever he got it from. Clearly that was in the works for a long time. And LA traffic sucking is something he would have known since he moved there, 15 years ago or whatever.
He just suddenly noticed this.
Yeah, he suddenly, So maybe we'll now Tesla, I believe, makes their own seats. Is that right? Because I've heard people say that.
I think so, yeah.
Which is rare.
Yeah.
Most automakers don't. It's a weird thing to do.
Right.
Because you would just have Bosch or someone else make them. But
of course, you don't call them chairs, you call them seats.
But that's his way of being obscure.
Well,
I don't know.
you're the you're the Elon
rocking
whisperer.
Chair.
Yeah. You just plug Neuralink in, nice little chair, just kind of go off to sleep. And now we have the best battery ever.
Imagine if there's a chair in space, on the International Space Station, or some kind of new place to put chairs.
What if there was a commercial module on the space station where people could bring whatever chair they want? Of course, you're not really sitting when you're in space, are you?
Yeah, that's true.
You can have a chair, but just kind of floating around with the chair, and it pokes you in the eye because there's no gravity and stuff.
I wondered about this, and maybe it's just some of those late night. Wait a minute, if you're in a spacecraft, let's say whatever kind, and you're floating around, and you get stuck in the middle of it. How are you? Yeah. Are you just there forever? Like, how would you, if you could not reach something and you're
This
just,
happens.
yeah, like
I've seen them test this. Like they have. Tim, you probably know this better than me, but it seems like I saw where they actually did kind of test this, where it was like, okay, let's just kind of get in the middle of the module, and we're not going to move. Like I have no inertia in any direction or anything.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of like do a cat flip, like the way cats flip back and forth. Like they were able to kind of do that to generate just enough momentum to get over to the wall. Like there is a way to do it. It looks
Right.
Okay.
There is-
bonkers, but yeah.
Yes, there is a way to do it. And actually, the bigger one. So it still happens on the ISS. If you're small, there's a chance. If you're under, I don't know, like well under 6 foot tall, there's a good chance that you can get stuck in those corridors. But the big one, literally, the big one was what's it?
Skylab?
The Skylab. Yes. Yeah, they actually had to be very, very mindful of not getting stuck in the middle of that cavernous pit, and you can air swim. You can literally kind of swim through the air as an option. It takes a while, but it works.
Man, that would feel so weird, wouldn't it? Just, I mean,
Yes.
I could imagine panicking. Like
Yeah.
you just get stuck. I mean, maybe even if you know that you can swim through the air or whatever, like just that feeling of like, I can't. I'm
that would be
stuck.
so
You know?
Like helplessness.
could you use, like articles of clothing and like throwing them the other direction to propel you the other
Yeah.
way?
Oh, absolutely.
That'd
That'd actually be great if you were really stuck.
And then
take
you're
your shirt
naked, and
off.
there's like, I've got nothing. It's time to pee.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine?
That's all I've
if-
got.
Could you imagine farting is how you?
It saved your life. Maybe
Oh.
maybe there's a fire on one end of the station. You're stuck in this big, overly sized crew module, and the only way to save your crewmates is to fart your way back to a wall.
That's why there's always Taco Bell
Movie.
on board.
I love this podcast.
It's a safety thing.
Hey, thanks for checking us out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this clip from our podcast.
We do a weekly show here on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to Our Ludicrous Future, where we discuss all the things that are going to make our future totally ludicrous.
You can join us here on YouTube or at any of your favorite podcast places. Plus, if you want to get some behind-the-scenes stuff and join a cool community, you can help support the channel at patreon.com. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.